The resort manager's hand trembled slightly as he reached for the mouse on his desk. "Mr. Harrison," he said in a low, careful voice, "I need you to understand something. I'm only about to show you this because you specifically asked." I had been searching for my wife, Claire, for nearly 3 hours by that point. Her phone was powered off. Her coworkers claimed they hadn't seen her since the afternoon session. We were attending her company's annual retreat at a mountain resort in Vail, all corporate smiles and forced bonding, name tags and motivational speeches. She had been thrilled about the trip, said it was a big opportunity, important for her future at the company. I'd tagged along as her +1, nodding through icebreakers, clapping at presentations, pretending to care about buzzwords and quarterly growth projections. Then, sometime after the afternoon break, she disappeared. I checked our room first. Empty, bed untouched, suitcase still open on the bench. I walked to the spa. They hadn't seen her. I checked the restaurant, the bar, the outdoor patio overlooking the mountains. I even walked part way down one of the hiking trails until the thin air started burning my lungs. Nothing. That's when I went to the front desk. "My wife," I said, trying to keep the edge out of my voice. "Claire Harrison, room 412. Have you seen her?" The young clerk behind the desk shifted uncomfortably. Let me grab the manager." 5 minutes later, I was in a small back office off the lobby. The manager, a man in his 50s named Richard, shut the door behind us. He didn't sit right away. He studied me first. "Mr. Harrison," he began slowly, "are you aware of any difficulties in your marriage?" My stomach dropped like an elevator cable had snapped. What kind of question is that? He hesitated, then sat down at his computer. "We have security cameras throughout the property. If you would like, I can show you where your wife has been this afternoon." "Yes," I said immediately. "Show me." He pulled up the footage. The screen displayed the main lobby, time-stamped 2:47 p.m. There was Claire walking through the entrance. She didn't look sick. She didn't look distressed. She looked alert, focused. She glanced over her shoulder once, then again toward the front desk, as if checking to see who might be watching. She headed toward the elevators. Richard fast-forwarded. The footage switched to inside the elevator. Claire stepped in and pressed a button. Not 4, our floor. 6. "The 6th floor is reserved for executive suites," Richard said quietly. "Senior staff only." The camera feed changed again to a hallway view. Time-stamped 2:52 p.m. Claire stepped out of the elevator and walked down the corridor, heels muffled by the thick carpet. She stopped at room 604, knocked. The door opened. A man filled the doorway. Tall, dark hair, white dress shirt, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened around his collar. I recognized him instantly. "That's her boss," I said, my voice hollow. "That's Daniel Mercer." Richard didn't respond. On screen, Claire smiled. She said something I couldn't hear. Daniel stepped aside. She walked into the room. The door closed behind her. Richard turned toward me. That was 3 hours ago. My hands had gone numb. I couldn't feel my fingertips. "Is she still there?" I asked. He switched to another camera angle covering the hallway. Room 604 remained closed. No movement. "Yes," he said quietly. The room seemed to tilt. I stood up too quickly and had to brace myself on the desk. "What's the room number again?" I asked. "Mr. Harrison, What's the number?" He swallowed. 604. I walked out of that office with a single thought pounding in my head. 3 hours. If you want to know what I found when I knocked on that door, and why what happened next destroyed more than just my marriage, hit subscribe, because the footage was just the beginning. My name is Nathan Harrison. I'm 39 years old, and until 3 days ago, I believed my marriage was solid. I'm a civil engineer. I design bridges, highways, infrastructure that has to withstand pressure, weight, time. I calculate stress tolerances, anticipate failure points, reinforce weaknesses before they become catastrophic. I pride myself on being methodical, practical, prepared. I thought I had applied the same logic to my marriage. Claire and I met 10 years ago at a friend's wedding in Boulder. She worked in marketing, confident, ambitious, the kind of person who could walk into a crowded room and have 3 business cards in her hand within 5 minutes. I was standing near the bar, half listening to a conversation about ski season, when she approached me. "You look like you're calculating the structural stability of this tent." I blinked. Actually, I was. These support poles aren't rated for more than 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. She laughed. "You're strange. I like it." We married 2 years later. For a long time it worked. She climbed steadily at Meridian Solutions, a mid-sized marketing firm based in Denver. I took on large-scale projects across Colorado, sometimes gone for days inspecting sites. We respected each other's independence, or at least I believed we did. The retreat in Vail was her idea. "It's 3 days," she told me, showing me the email on her phone. "Team building, strategy sessions, leadership announcements. Spouses are invited." I looked at my calendar. "I have a site inspection that week." "Can you move it?" "I could. Why?" She hesitated just briefly. "Daniel's announcing the new vice president of marketing. I think I might be in the running." Daniel Mercer. I'd met him twice at company events. Smooth handshake, expensive watch, the type of executive who uses phrases like strategic alignment without irony. "That's great," I said. "Of course I'll come." Her smile was radiant. "Really? Really?" She hugged me tightly. This could change everything. She had no idea how accurate that statement would be.
That night, there was a formal dinner. Claire sat at the head table with senior management. I sat near the back with other spouses. I watched Daniel lean toward her more than once, watched her laugh at something he said. It didn't bother me then. I trusted her. The second day followed the same rhythm: morning sessions, group exercises. Around lunch, Claire found me in the lobby. "Daniel pulled me aside this morning," she said, eyes bright. "He said he's impressed with my work." "That's a good sign." "It's more than that. I think the VP role is real." "I'm proud of you," I told her. She squeezed my hand. "I have to run. Afternoon session starts in 10 minutes. She kissed me lightly and left. That was 1:45 p.m. By 5 p.m., I hadn't seen her again. My texts went unanswered. My calls went straight to voicemail. One of her coworkers mentioned she had left the afternoon session early, claiming she felt unwell. By 6 p.m., concern had curdled into dread. That's when I went to the front desk. That's when Richard showed me the footage. And that's how I ended up standing in front of the elevator, pressing the button for the 6th floor. The ride up felt endless. Each ding marking a new floor sounded like a countdown. When the doors finally opened, the hallway was silent. Thick carpet muted my footsteps as I walked to room 604. I stood there for a moment, staring at the numbers. Then I knocked. No response at first, then faint movement, a murmur of voices. The door opened a few inches. Daniel stood there. His shirt was untucked now, hair slightly disheveled. "Can I help you?" he asked, irritation flickering across his face before recognition set in. "I'm looking for my wife," I said evenly. His expression drained of color. Claire?" I called past him. "Are you in there?" A pause. Then her voice, small, fragile. "Nathan?" The door opened wider. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, shoes off, blouse wrinkled, hair not as neat as it had been that morning. She looked at me like she'd been caught in headlights. "Nathan, I can explain." "Explain what?" My voice surprised even me. Calm, controlled, detached. "Explain why you've been in your boss's hotel room for 3 hours?" Daniel stepped forward. "Look, this isn't—" "Don't," I said, without taking my eyes off Claire. I'm not talking to you." She stood up slowly, tears forming already. "Nathan, please." "Please what? Let you rewrite this? Let you tell me it's not what it looks like?" "It's not." "Then tell me what it is." Daniel tried again. "We were just talking." "In a locked hotel room?" I asked, finally glancing at him. "For 3 hours?" He had no answer. I turned back to Claire. "I want you to say it," I said quietly. She shook her head, crying harder now. "Say what you were doing here." "Nathan, say it." Her shoulders collapsed inward, her voice cracked under the weight of it. "We were having an affair." The words hung in the air like smoke. I nodded slowly. "How long, Nathan? How long?" She wiped her face. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year. While I was working late, while I was out on job sites, while I was trusting her. "Does anyone else know?" She shook her head. "No, we've been careful." "Careful," I repeated. "Right. That's why you're in his hotel room at a company retreat." Daniel cleared his throat. "Look, I think you should shut the up," I said, my voice still eerily calm. "Because right now, the only thing stopping me from breaking your jaw is the fact that I don't want to go to jail." He stepped back. I looked at Claire one more time. "Pack your things, we're leaving." "Nathan, can we please talk?" "No," I said, "we're done talking. Pack your things, meet me in the lobby in 20 minutes. I walked out, closed the door, stood in that empty hallway, and finally let myself feel it. The rage came first, hot and sharp, then the humiliation. Everyone at this retreat probably knew, probably whispered about it. Then something colder. Clarity. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice recorder, walked back to room 604, knocked. Daniel opened it, frustrated. "What now?" "I need to hear it from you," I said, "for the record." "Hear what?" "That you've been sleeping with my wife." He glanced back at Claire. "I don't think—" "Say it," I pressed, "or I walk into that lobby and tell everyone at this retreat what's been going on." His jaw clenched. "Fine. Yes, we've been seeing each other." "For how long?" 6 months. "And you knew she was married?" "Yes." "Thank you," I said. I stopped the recording, walked away. Claire met me in the lobby 18 minutes later, eyes red, suitcase in hand. We didn't speak. We got in the car. I drove. The 2-hour drive back to Denver was silent, except for her occasional sob. I didn't comfort her. I didn't yell. I just drove. When we got home, I parked in the driveway. "Nathan," she started. "I'm staying at a hotel tonight," I said. "Tomorrow, I'm calling a lawyer. You can stay here or leave. I don't care, but this marriage is over." "Please, can we just—" "No," I said. "There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice 6 months ago. I'm just catching up." I got out, grabbed my bag from the trunk, walked to a Holiday Inn off I-25, checked in, sat on the edge of the bed, and finally let myself break. But breaking wasn't the end. It was just the beginning, because the next morning I got a call from an unknown number. "Mr. Harrison?" "Yes." "This is Amanda Cross. I'm an attorney with Whittemore and Associates. I represent Meridian Solutions." My stomach dropped. "Okay. We've become aware of a situation involving your wife and one of our senior executives. We'd like to meet with you to discuss it." "Why?" "Because, Mr. Harrison, what happened at that retreat violates several company policies, and we need to understand the full scope before we proceed." I sat up. "Proceed with what?" "Termination, possibly legal action. It depends on what we find." A slow smile spread across my face. "When can we meet?" The meeting was the next day. Downtown Denver, glass tower, conference room with a view. Amanda Cross was in her 40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes.
Across from her sat 2 other attorneys and an HR director named Patricia. "Mr. Harrison, thank you for coming." "It is. We need to ask you some questions, and we need you to be completely honest." "I will be." She opened a folder. "How long have you been aware of the relationship between your wife and Mr. Mercer?" 3 days. "And prior to that, you had no knowledge?" "None." "Did your wife ever mention Mr. Mercer in a romantic context?" "No. She talked about him as her boss, said he was mentoring her." Patricia made a note. Amanda continued. "At the retreat, when you discovered them together, what exactly did you see?" I described it. The footage, the room, the conversation. "Do you have any evidence of this?" Amanda asked. I pulled out my phone, played the recording. Daniel's voice filled the room.
"Yes, we've been seeing each other." The attorneys exchanged looks. "Mr. Harrison," Amanda said carefully, "are you willing to provide this recording to us?" "Yes." "And would you be willing to testify if necessary?" "Absolutely." She nodded. "Thank you. This is very helpful. Can I ask what you're planning to do?" Amanda leaned back. "Daniel Mercer is a senior executive. He has a fiduciary duty to this company. Engaging in a relationship with a subordinate, especially when he supervises, is a violation of our ethics policy. So you're firing him?" "We are conducting an investigation, but yes, termination is likely." "And Claire," Patricia spoke up, "Mrs. Harrison is also subject to our ethics policy. However, as the subordinate in the relationship, the power dynamic is complicated." "Meaning?" "Meaning she may have been coerced or pressured. We need to investigate that possibility." I laughed bitterly. "She wasn't coerced, trust me." "Even so," Amanda said, "we have to follow protocol." I stood up. "Do what you need to do. I just want this over with." 2 weeks later, Daniel Mercer was fired. The official reason? Violation of company ethics policy. The unofficial reason? Everyone knew. Claire was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. She called me every day. I didn't answer. She texted. I didn't respond. She showed up at my hotel. I had the front desk turn her away. Finally, she stopped. A month after the retreat, I met with my lawyer. His name was Greg Polson, 50-some, gray beard, the kind of guy who'd seen every divorce trick in the book. "Nathan," he said, "I'm going to be straight with you. Colorado is a no-fault state. The affair doesn't impact the division of assets." "I know, but," he continued, "it does impact alimony. Given that she was the one who violated the marriage, and given that her income was higher than yours, you're in a good position." "I don't want her money," I said. "I just want out." "I understand, but you should know your options." He slid a paper across the desk. "This is what I'm proposing. Clean split. You keep your retirement, she keeps hers. You keep your truck, she keeps her car. The house gets sold. Proceeds split 50-50. And alimony, none for either party." I looked at the paper. "She'll agree to this if she's smart." "Yes, because the alternative is we go to trial and I put Daniel Mercer on the stand." I smiled. "Do it." Claire's lawyer called 2 days later. She agreed to the terms. No trial, no drama, just signatures and a judge's stamp. 60 days later, I was divorced. The house sold quickly. We split the proceeds, $140,000 each. I used mine as a down payment on a small condo in Boulder. 2 bedrooms, mountain view, quiet. I threw myself into work, picked up extra projects, stayed late. My coworkers noticed. "You okay, Nathan?" "I'm fine," I'd say, "just busy." But I wasn't fine. I was hollow. Not because I missed Claire. I didn't. But because 10 years of my life had been built on a lie, and I didn't know how to trust again. 6 months after the divorce, I got a message on LinkedIn. "Hi, Nathan. You don't know me, but I think we should talk. My name's Rachel Mercer. I'm Daniel's wife." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I clicked accept. We met at a coffee shop in Denver. Neutral brown. Rachel was in her late 30s, blonde, tired eyes. She sat down across from me. "Thank you for meeting me." "I wasn't sure I should," I admitted. "I understand." She wrapped her hands around her cup. "I wanted to say I'm sorry for what Daniel did, for what they both did. You don't need to apologize for him." "I know, but I feel like I should." She paused. "I found out about the affair the same day you did.
Daniel came home from the retreat and confessed. Why? Because he knew he was about to be fired. He wanted to control the narrative. I nodded. Sounds like him. I filed for divorce 2 weeks later. She said it was finalized last month. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was the right choice. She looked at me. I wanted to meet you because, I don't know, I guess I wanted to see if you were okay. I'm getting there, I said. You? Same. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Rachel said, Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you regret trusting her? I thought about it. No. I regret that she wasn't worth trusting, but I don't regret being the kind of person who does. She smiled sadly. That's a good answer. Rachel and I stayed in touch. Not romantic, just two people who understood. We'd meet for coffee every few weeks, talk about work, life, healing. She was kind, funny, real. One day, about a year after we first met, she said, I'm going to Italy next month. Solo trip. I need to do something just for me. That sounds amazing. You should come, she said suddenly. I blinked. What? Not like a romantic thing, just two friends who've been through hell taking a trip. No pressure. I thought about it. Okay. Really? Really? Italy was beautiful. Rome, Florence, the Amalfi Coast. We ate pasta, drank wine, walked through ancient streets, and somewhere between the Colosseum and the Uffizi Gallery, I realized something. I was laughing again. Not forcing it, not faking it, really laughing. One night, sitting on a terrace overlooking the Mediterranean, Rachel turned to me. Thank you, she said. For what? For reminding me that not all men are like Daniel. I smiled. Thank you for reminding me that not all women are like Claire. We clinked our glasses, and for the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel heavy. It felt open. I'm not going to tell you Rachel and I fell in love and lived happily ever after, because life isn't a movie. But I will tell you this. We're still friends. We still take trips. We still laugh. And maybe one day it'll become something more. Or maybe it won't. Either way, I'm okay. Because I learned something from that hotel footage, from that closed door, from that terrible moment in the hallway. You can't control other people's choices. You can only control your response. Claire chose to cheat. Daniel chose to betray his wife. I chose to walk away with my dignity. And that choice made all the difference. If you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever stood in a hallway with your heart breaking, if you've ever had to choose between rage and dignity, this one's for you. Comment, I chose dignity if this story hit home. Hit subscribe for more stories about the strength it takes to walk away, because the best revenge isn't destroying them.